in the best way that she could. I thought I was cool, man. I was ditching class, and I was paying homeless guys to buy 40s for me, and I was smoking weed behind the gym. But I was failing every single one of my classes. And I got kicked out of my first high school, and I ended up in a lockdown alternative school. I felt alone. I was even more lost than ever. And I could have asked for help, but I didn't, because I didn't know how. I was on probation and doing weekends in jail. Me and my friends would sit around, as I'm sure a lot of you have, and we would talk about how cool the drugs that we were doing were. I was sniffing Adderalls, stealing medications from different people, but we always felt like we were above using needles or taking it to the next step. We would say, I would never do that, or I'm gonna shoot up right before I die. In my junior year of high school, I started smoking crack, and I was sniffing pain pills every single day. What used to be fun turned into going into the bathroom before class so I could get high in order to get through. Sooner or later, I was ditching class just so that I could go buy crack. I started needing drugs. I was in a long-term relationship when I was in high school, and I saw it start to crumble. It felt like that was all that I had left. I didn't have a home life, and I had a girl who really cared about me, but she couldn't deal with my shit anymore. Me and my brother were getting into physical fights every single day. On the outside, I was cool. Girls loved me, at least I thought they did. So did my friends. But inside, I hated myself. And I was using more and more drugs in order to feel like I belonged. When all my friends went to college, I got a job delivering pizzas so that I could smoke crack in my car all night. And every single cent that I made from that job went to more drugs. Around this time, I started using heroin. Back then, we didn't have fentanyl. And as Trina and Amelia explained, that's all that there is now. Before I knew it, I was shooting up every single day. I had somehow gotten a job at a Subaru dealership that at the time was the busiest Subaru dealership in the entire country. And they were training me to be a technician. I could have been making $100,000 plus at this point in my life. But I decided to trick it off so that I could smoke pills in my car. And I ended up coming in and getting into a fight with somebody that I worked with because I was too gone to know what was going on. I started going to jail. I was in drug court, which I failed within 2 weeks for selling drugs to somebody else in the program. I was in the halfway house, which I failed in a few months for the same thing. And I ended up in prison for the first time when I was 21 years old. I wasn't a juvenile anymore, which meant that I no longer suffered juvenile consequences. When I fucked up and I got fucked for it. When I got out of prison the first time, drugs and the lifestyle became my identity. Crime was a necessity to me because it's all that I knew how to do. It was the only way I knew how to make money, and I needed money because I needed drugs. And getting high was the only thing that made me feel alive. I nearly died 3 times. I was in the ICU for extended periods because my heart was failing. My lungs were not able to absorb enough oxygen because of the damage that I'd done, and I could have just went into cardiac arrest at any moment. I went back to prison 3 times. and I spent almost every single day in my 20s incarcerated. The people I grew up with now have careers, they have families, they have cars, they have children, and I have $350 in a trust account at the halfway house, a bicycle and a box of clothes. And I haven't even been riding the bike because it's been fucking snowing outside. Places won't hire me because of my record. And the places that will hire me, I'm not allowed to do financial transactions because the halfway house says that they can't trust me with money. I'm constantly monitored. I can't go to the store without putting a schedule in. I can't go to my mom's house for dinner because she doesn't have a landline. And when I leave here, I'm gonna have to call them and tell them that I'm coming back. When I was in prison around age 27, I realized that I was more than my addiction. When I first started going to prison, they UA you. It's not like Platte Valley. It's not like this detention center down here. There's really drugs in the penitentiary, and people are using constantly. It's a sad situation when all of your neighbors are just lost in a cell shooting heroin. Anyway, they UA you in prison. And before they UA you and you fail, and maybe you'd like sit in the hole for a couple of days, a few weeks, but that was it. But there was a point in prison where they decided to say, if you fail a UA, you lose your phone calls and your visits for a whole year. So at this point in my life, I'm serving a 12-year sentence. I'm as low as I've been before. I don't have any friends left. Most of them have died. And now I'm faced with the possibility of losing the only contact that I have with the only people that actually care about me, my family. And I decided that I couldn't throw that away for a cheap high. My story is a story of redemption, but I can't make up for the time that I've lost or the people that are dead. And I can't make up for the harm that I've caused the community and myself. When I was using, I didn't care who I hurt. But now I feel shitty because I was such a shitty person for so long. No matter what you hear about on social media, about inclusion and giving people a second chance, people will judge you in my situation. You don't want people to Google your name and the first thing that pops up is some fucking cracked out picture of you. You don't want the people that you used to know gossiping about you over dinner like, man, did you see Tanner? He looks like a fucking crackhead. Or, it's too bad, he was such a good kid. Don't let your legacy be about what you should have done. At the end of the day, you have to own your decisions because that's all that we really have. Thank you.